Hi, my name is Isabel. Today I will present how I would teach Mendelssohn's Venetian Gondellied. When introducing a new piece, it's helpful to give some historical context. Mendelssohn is a German Romantic composer. This piece comes from his fifth book of Songs Without Words, which is dedicated to Clara Schumann. Mendelssohn coined the title Songs Without Words because it's clear he felt his music speaks for itself. Mendelssohn was so inspired by his time in Venice that he wrote a handful of Venetian boat songs, and this is one of them. There are a few details on the score we notice right away. The piece is in A minor. It's in triple meter. The 6/8 time signature is common for a boat song as it mirrors the timing of the gondolier's strokes in the water. A student should begin by reading the notes of each hand, observing all dynamic and articulation markings. The dynamics range widely from pianissimo to fortissimo, and the student should even observe the subtle differences between pianissimo and piano. Mendelssohn's dynamic markings help separate the voices, which paint a picture in the listener's mind. In the first reading, I would clear up any ambiguities for the student. I would ensure their fingering suits their hand shape from the very earliest stage of learning. Because this is a lead, the biggest technical challenge is to be both a singer and a pianist. It's important that the student can vocalize the melody singing along as they practice their right hand. This will help them achieve the appropriate lilting tempo rubato found in boat songs. The students should note all the accidentals and clef changes so they are aware of the changing registers and hand crossings. Another challenge is how to approach the parallel thirds and octaves. I would advise a student to practice by isolating the separate voices and release tension from previous fingers to create a legato melodic line. They should adjust the weight of their hand so they always voice the top of each interval with a singing tone. Another challenge is the offbeat section in page 2, in which I'd advise the student to practice using different combinations of voices. For example, they can practice the melody and accompaniment without offbeats, the melody and offbeats in separate hands without the accompaniment, or the right hand as written with the accompaniment as blocked chords. The closing section is a stream of decorated A major arpeggios, which should be thought of in chord formations rather as individual notes. It's important to be aware of where the arpeggios are going, in this case the high E, and to know that the bell sounds in the left hand guide the tempo and direction of the right hand arpeggios. For the left hand, the main technical challenge are the wide leaps and intervals in a soft dynamic. It's helpful to use imagery to describe the lightness of touch in the left hand, comparing it to the feeling of lightly treading beneath the surface of water. The low bass note should not be accented, as this would shift the pulse of the downbeat. To avoid the left hand becoming locked in an open position, I would advise the student to pivot their hand from the centrally located middle note. They could also practice the left hand in groups of 3, either starting from the low bass note or the downbeat, in order to feel each group as a smooth gesture. The character of the music goes hand in hand with the tempo. The tempo indication is andante con moto, or slowly with motion. This makes sense because while the piece is mainly subdued, the melody line is always flowing. There are moments of storminess before the special arrival of A major at the end, which is marked tranquil. At this point, the student should set a goal tempo to work toward, which will be limited by the most challenging part of the piece, the offbeat section in page 2. The students should list adjectives that they believe match the sound of the piece, like calming, soothing, or subdued. Being aware of the character gives us some indication of the type of sound we want to produce. For example, because the piece is relatively calm, the accented fortissimo and sforzando notes should not be played harshly, but with a round, rich, and ringing tone. When considering the sound, it's important to recognize the sempre pedal markings were a result of the type of piano Mendelssohn used and would not be effective on today's instrument. This piece will be a good opportunity to discuss pedaling using our ears, awareness of harmony, and realizing the capability of our hand size. Soft pedal may be appropriate during the pianissimo moments of the piece. You can immediately tell from the opening bars that the left-hand motive evokes the sound of water movements, while the right-hand melody joins in above like a boat floating in the water. To achieve balance between the two hands, the student can practice the right hand as written while the left hand plays silently. One way to map the structure of the piece is to isolate just the melody line in the right hand, playing it at a uniform dynamic and at a slightly faster tempo. This will allow us to create a road map of the piece to help the student recognize repeated material, understand how the piece develops, and inform them on how to pace the dynamics in order to create a long line for the whole piece. A roadmap will also help with memorizing the piece. Thank you so much for watching.